Hi, everyone. I'm Beverly, and I'm really excited to talk about our paper, AI-Powered Lawyering. This was a team effort, as you can see here, led by Dan Schwartz at University of Minnesota Law School and Sam Manning at the Center for Governance of AI. We do a randomized controlled trial, RCT, using law students and testing their performance in terms of quality and time on a number of legal tasks. With that, I'll get into it. So I was in academia, now I'm back in industry as an attorney, so it seems only right that I will start by talking about risk, which is lawyers' favorite topic, and how they kind of frame everything. So when thinking about use of AI in the legal industry, something that has been hitting the news almost every day, at least if you're plugged into the legal world, is some lawyer or another has submitted a brief to the court that includes a hallucinated citation. Doing this is not good. It, tends to get found out by the judge or by opposing counsel, by someone along the way. And the risks or the damages are reputational. Looks pretty silly when that happens. In this case, I'm highlighting it because Latham is one of the biggest law firms in the country, very well known. And in this case, the attorney for Latham used Claude to check citations in her brief. And then, she very diligently apparently kind of checked to make sure the periods were in the right place, as you do with a legal citation, but did not check that the actual name of the paper she was citing to was correct. She got called out. It looks pretty bad. The risks are not only reputational, but also can be monetary. In another case, the judge fined the law firms, it was K&L Gates and another firm over $30,000 in legal fees for including hallucinated citations in the brief. So, I wanted to highlight that lawyers are risk averse, but as these AI tools become more prevalent in their legal work, I think that there's a tension. So they really want to use these. They are using them, but they still don't know exactly how to make AI work for them in the context of their legal work. So that was something that we wanted to look into to kind of see, how are these tools helping? Are they helping in terms of checking citations? Maybe not. Or are they providing actual legal analysis, beyond just kind of generating something that's not very good? Where, how does it change legal work? How is it affecting quality in terms of legal work? In thinking about legal AI tools, the basic ones were not super good. And then with RAG, retrieval augmented generation, we started to see that the hallucination problem got a little bit, started to mitigate the hallucination problem a little bit. And now with reasoning models, the assistance that AI can provide to legal work is becoming a little bit more robust. Something that I end up talking about with other attorneys every day is, what does that mean today, and what do lawyers think about using AI in their work? So there's still a lot of hesitancy, for example, I think that this stems from kind of a lack of understanding of the capabilities of AI in legal work. So I hear a lot, how is using, not ChatGPT, but any sort of legal tech tool that includes an AI element, how is this saving me time if I have to check its output anyway? To that, I might say, well, you have an associate. If you're having an associate help you, aren't you going to check their work anyway? So I have rebuttals to all of these, which I use in polite ways, and maybe some not so polite ways, pretty frequently. Security and data privacy, even though those problems have been, in many contexts solved, lawyers are still very hesitant. They don't want to put any client data into anything, even if it's housed securely on-prem. And then this last one, I think it gets to the incentive problem that exists, at least for lawyers at law firms, which is that, why would I use generative AI for something that I could bill 4 hours for? Sometimes they do it anyway and still bill 4 hours for it. But that's a separate issue. But I think that, when thinking about use of AI in legal, this incentive problem kind of underlies everything, which is, you can develop a tool that can be a great legal assistant, but if at the end of the day that means that the lawyer can't hit their billables because they're using this tool, how are we going to incorporate it, and how are we going to think about changing the scope and the volume of legal work so that lawyers can benefit from these tools, especially now that the quality is really good. But I will say that, increasingly lawyers are finding ways to use Gen AI as a complement to their work. But I will also caveat that by saying that there is still very few frontier or technologically advanced uses of AI in law. We're still pretty happy if you automate a form for us and do it well. All right, so back to our study to lay the context, and now back to the study. We find that we test OpenAI's first reasoning model, O1 Preview, and Vincent VLEX, which I'll get into in a moment, but that's a RAG, retrieval augmented generation tool, on a number of legal tasks with law students, and we find that both tools significantly improve legal work in terms of quality and speed. Speed is the obvious one. Obviously, if you're going to use something like this, it will speed up. It will speed up legal work, but we find that actually the quality improves as well, which is a new one. And so, yeah, it can consistently boost lawyer performance. A little bit of an overview about our RCT. We used 127 law students from Michigan and Minnesota, and each law student did 6 legal tasks. I'll get into what those were in a moment, under the conditions of no AI, using the reasoning model, O1 Preview, and then Vincent AI, which is a RAG tool. And then tasks and tool assignment were randomized. So what is Vincent? And I can't be consistent with the names. It's Vincent VLEX developed a product called Vincent, and it uses RAG. So I'll call it the RAG tool, Vincent VLEX. It's all the same thing. And so the reason RAG, everyone in legal is so excited about it, is because it pulls in real legal sources and then grounds the output in the actual statutes or cases that it's using. So when you get an output that's RAG, there's little citations to the actual cases. It makes lawyers feel a lot better that they can click on the citations and see exactly where that it's pulling from in the case. So Vincent VLEX, they are one of the companies that have case law. So similar to Westlaw, Lexis, and I won't go off on my tangent about that, but even though these cases are public data, Westlaw and VLEX have repackaged them and call it copyrighted material, and then they sell licenses to that content. So there's only a few companies that have case law, which is really critical to lawyers in doing a lot of their legal research. O1 Preview is OpenAI's first reasoning model, and bottom line it plans the answers step by step, similar to how an attorney would outline arguments before writing a brief. So it is able to handle more complex legal analysis, really enhancing the arguments that it makes, similar to maybe a summer associate, who's a law student, or a first-year associate. So it really does kind of enhance that reasoning in the output. In terms of experiment design, again, we had 127 law students. They had varied GPAs. They were 2Ls, 3Ls, and LLM students. Those are kind of like graduates, legal students, law students. These are not our participants. I don't think IRB would be very happy with me if I put pictures of them. So that is from ChatGPT, sorry. All students received pre-experiment training. So they had general training on AI for legal work and tool-specific training for Vincent, VLEX, the RAG tool. And then we had attorneys grade the output blindly using standardized rubrics for each task. And we measured quality as a combination of accuracy, analysis, organization, clarity, and professionalism, graded on a 1 to 7 scale. So what tasks did we do? We did a mix of litigation and transactional work. These tasks were designed to be things that a summer associate or a first-year associate or second-year associate might reasonably do in the course of their work. So it was a client email, draft a legal research memo, do an analysis of a complaint to kind of summarize the claims and defenses, draft a NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, a motion to consolidate, so supporting consolidating 2 cases, like some persuasive writing, and then draft a persuasive letter as well, so argue that a non-compete clause is enforceable. All right, so to preview the results, So we found that access to O1 Preview and to Vincent, the RAG tool, led to statistically significant improvements in the overall quality of the work. O1 Preview had produced larger quality gains than Vincent. The improvements were primarily reflected in enhanced clarity, organization, and professionalism of the output. And O1 Preview improved the logic, but there was mixed evidence that either tool improved accuracy. We'll talk about that. But in the complaint task, you actually got the copy of the complaint, and so you could use that. And in that task, O1 Preview did improve accuracy, probably because it had the source document right there that it was drawing from. All right, so to dive into quality a little bit more, these are some pretty big quality improvements when using these tools. There was more gains in the litigation-oriented work and no improvement in the contract task, which is kind of interesting. Not exactly sure why, and I don't want to necessarily speculate on that. And again, better clarity, organization, and professionalism with AI, and O1 added deeper analysis in several of the cases. I won't go through this, and it's probably kind of hard to read from back there, but you can see that these are the total gains, and so the NDA and the persuasive letter were the only ones that didn't see positive gains from AI. Again, this is on analysis, so this is like the analysis part of the quality metric that we came up with. In terms of analysis, so it really increased on motion to consolidate, persuasive letter for O1 Preview, and drafting a legal memo as well. In terms of efficiency, so time and productivity, which is the combination of quality and time, 5 of 6 tasks were finished significantly quicker. I think that the NDA was the only one that wasn't, and that might be the case because in law school you don't do a lot of contract drafting. It's just not something, it's kind of, law education tends to be geared more towards litigation-based work, so it was something that they might not have been super familiar with. And then considering speed and quality together for productivity, there were some really big gains there as well. Again, that's just the treatment effect in terms of time. There was some hallucination. O1 Preview had more hallucinations, but I think combined there were like over 750 tasks, or assignments completed, for kind of each of the participants across all 6 tasks. And there were 11 hallucinations with O1 Preview, only 3 with Vincent, and oddly 4 with no AI. So not sure what was going on there. Maybe it was like a spelling error, who knows? They did 6 assignment anyway. So RAG, works. It was able to curb some hallucinations, and then O1 Preview, it's got really good legal reasoning quality, but did have more hallucinations. Again, just highlighting Vincent versus O1 Preview. The RAG tool had more, it helps with clarity and organization, whereas the reasoning model helps with analytical depth. And again, this might seem obvious, but actually proving this in terms of what the law students are doing, so what work that lawyers might reasonably do, was something that hasn't really been done before in the literature. And so it's important to kind of understand how and where these sorts of tools are improving legal work. Oh, again, and also, I would say that probably together a RAG plus a reasoning tool might be kind of the golden ticket to actually start to really help lawyers. I wanted to highlight these charts which show GPA, so the participants broken out by GPA to show that GPA wasn't really driving this. There are equal gains no matter the student's GPA. There are equal benefits no matter GPA for using O1 Preview. So you can see the red line across there. So the red line is the O1 Preview score, and the blue is no AI. So they had relatively consistent in terms of the overall task score, and then similarly for Vincent. So the students with higher GPA didn't quite benefit as much on the productivity with Vincent, but there were consistently better than those with no AI. Okay. Participant survey, basically what you can say is that they were very excited about AI. Limitations, obviously, low sample size. These are law students, not lawyers. It was an experiment setting. Is it applicable to the real world? Don't know. And then legal work quality. We did our best to really be able to estimate work quality, but there's still some. It's hard to evaluate what quality is in terms of legal work. Implications for legal practice. I'll just run through these really quickly. Basically, just that it's hard to get lawyers to use these things because they're very risk averse. And I think that having experiments like this helps show them that legal reasoning tools can really help when you pair it with RAG and teach them how to review the output, that it's not just looking for commas, it's actually kind of, going back and checking what the name was, as an example. I think that will be more compelling to attorneys going forward to benefit from use of AI. I'll end on that note. Thank you. Yeah.
Very interesting work. So I'm curious, in your data, like in terms of the quality and the speed part, relatively which one is more? Like the productivity side or the quality side compared to their baseline?
Compared to the baseline, I think it was, that's a good question. It was the speed, I think, improved much more. But quality also improved. Yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
I'm curious to you, in the beginning of the presentation, you talked about some commenting about billable hours. And I was hoping you could just speculate or expand a bit on your research, which I thought was really interesting, on where you think the billable hour question will go. And naturally, thank you. Naturally, my question sort of leads to, well, will there just be some sort of collusion not to use AI because people want to charge more? Or do we think prices are going to go down over time? What's your thinking about this?
Like I planted this question. I didn't. But I don't think the billable hour is going anywhere. And I think lawyers are pretty, well entrenched in that. They like it. It's, they complain about it, but it's working for them. I tend to think that, either with these enhancements that facilitate, improvements in quality and improvements in time, they'll be able to either take on additional legal work or kind of, shift their legal work to be more strategic in nature. So I think that, some of the large consultancies and accounting firms are starting to move into legal. And I think that over time, that we'll continue to see those regulations on, the prohibition on kind of joint ownership where lawyers can't be partners in a firm with non-lawyers. I think that will probably go away, and that will kind of start changing the industry that way. I don't really foresee the billable hour going away, but maybe it will. So that's kind of my prediction on that.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Thanks, everyone.